Welcome to Part 5 of the 5-part Inteleos Item Writer Training webinar using the EPIC Remote Item Writing Portal. After completing this training webinar, within a week, you should receive your welcome email, which will contain a link and a login information for the EPIC Remote Item Writing Portal. We recommend that you bookmark this site because it may not be the easiest to remember. It is also very important that you use a browser that will support the portal. You will need to access the portal using Internet Explorer, Safari, or Firefox. Unfortunately, you may not use Google Chrome. Your username is your APCA ID, and you will be given a temporary password to log in the first time. You may be prompted to change this temporary password to something more unique. Once you sign in, you will arrive at the My Item Writing Projects page. Let's go to My Item Writing Projects page. You will likely see two projects listed within the CVI section you are writing for. One project will be for items without images, called Single Selection Multiple Choice Items, or SSMCs. And the other project will be for items with images, called PAX items. In this list of projects, you can see when the project started and the date it will end. You will also notice a column named Total Items Requested. This is not your personal goal. This larger number refers to how many items we need from all the item writers in the project. You can also keep up with how it's going by seeing how many have been submitted and how many are remaining. First, we will write an item for an SSMC project, and then we'll write one for a PAX project. To begin, simply find the project you want to work on and click the Create Item button. You will be taken to the item authoring screen. As you can see, there's a lot of information on this screen. So something you can do is collapse all, which consolidates everything, and that way you can address each portion as needed. The first thing I suggest you complete is the right side of the screen. To submit an item, the system currently requires you to select a level of difficulty. Use the drop-down and select a low, medium, or high level of difficulty. For the cardiovascular imaging examinations, low equates to remember, recall, medium equates to understand, apply, and high equates to analyze, evaluate. Don't spend too much time on this, as we consider many factors when determining which items are selected for a form. Much more important is this next detail, the item content. This is where you would be asked to identify the specific task from the content outline that you want to write your item about. You will be provided with a complete content outline by the exam program manager. When you click on the content icon here, you will probably not see the full content outline. What you will see are the tasks that we have the greatest need for at this time. If you can't find a particular topic listed, it's because we already have a surplus of items written to that task and do not need any more. So scroll down until you find a task that interests you. Some outlines have multiple pages, and typically the tasks at the bottom of the outline get neglected. So check out the second page too, if there is one. Once you find a task you want to write about, highlight it and click Select. You'll see the selected task appear here. Before we move on, I just want to draw your attention to the other details here on the right side of the screen. Again, you can see the start and end date for the project. You could email a mentor directly from the system if you were assigned one, here. And you can email the Inteleos staff member who is listed as the project manager for the item writing project. There is also a number to contact technical support if you encounter any issues with the website. But in most cases, after you select the current topic, you will be ready to begin writing your item. Click on the stem and a text box will open. Type your question, which will end with a question mark. Before you move away from the STEM, I would recommend scrolling down to the bottom of the page where you will find 2 buttons. Click Save to preserve the work you've done so far. You can always collapse all and handle each part as needed. When you're happy with your STEM, you can move on to your answer choices. Enter your response choices one by one. As you remember from the other training video, APCA requires 4 response options. Once you are done entering your response options, make sure that you select the key. You select the key by selecting the radio button just to the left of the correct answer. The next section, Rationales, is not required. But if you want, you can write a rationale for the STEM or any of the answer choices here. Keywords is a field that we use internally, so you can ignore that section. However, we do require that you list a reference for each item. There are 2 ways to add a reference citation. Choose Add Reference to view a list of the most common books and journals for that specialty. Click on the headings to sort from A to Z, or Z to A, or use the scroll bar to find the textbook that you want to reference. Select it, add the reference, and you're done. You can edit or remove this at any time. If you cannot find the textbook or journal article you wish to reference within our list, you also have the option of adding a reference note. Simply type all the pertinent information in this box here. Don't forget to add a page number, and then click Add Reference Note. Do this if you are citing a journal article that you might want to use to write 1 or 2 items about. But if you're working on a different edition of a popular textbook that you think you will use frequently, you can email the project manager here and request to have that text added to the list to save time in the future. The last section on this page is the comments section. This is where it would be possible to communicate with a mentor. You wouldn't need to write anything initially, but when a mentor responds with their feedback, this is where you would find it. Finally, let's look at the buttons on the bottom. We've already used the Save button, which saves the item in the system for further editing. The first time you click the Save button, the preview function appears at the bottom and at the top of the page. When you preview the item, you can view the item in a format that is close to the way an exam taker would see it. It can be helpful for you to see the item in its entirety. Once you feel you've created an item that you would be proud to present on an APCA exam, you're ready to submit it to us. But be certain, because once you click Submit, the item status changes to pending, and it cannot be returned for further editing. You will be taken to the projects page, and you will see your item reflected here, and the task that you wrote to, the date and time when it was created. Now, let's write for a PACS project. Go back to My Projects, find the PACS project here, and select Create Item. PACS items can contain still images, CNAs, or both. The right side of the screen looks just like it did for an SSMC project, and each section, level of difficulty, and item content selection must be completed, just as it was before. Once you've completed those requirements, you can move on to item creation. The first difference you may notice is the vertical toolbar along the left-hand side of the screen. This is where you can add your images, also called exhibits. Click the box to upload a new exhibit. A pop-up will open, and just as you would attach a file to an email, you can browse your computer and find your image file. Here on this general screen, you will be asked to give the exhibit a name. Click on the Details option to open a screen where, using the Comments area, you can provide keywords based on the anatomy, image type, pathology, etc. You can also use this screen to provide comments or instructions for staff on what you would like us to do with an item, such as adding an arrow to point to a specific area of the image, or requesting that the image be cropped to remove unwanted black space. Click Save Exhibit, and the image appears on the left-hand side of the screen. Simply click on the gray Add Exhibit box again, and you can add more images or scenes. Next, I'll add a video. Here's the name of the video, and I'm going to click on Details and add a comment. Save, and the video appears on the left-hand side of the screen just below the first item that you added to the item. Now you see both items displayed on the left-hand side of the screen, the first image you added on the top, and the second just underneath it. Once again, you may want to scroll down to the bottom of the page, collapse all, and select Save to save your work so far. Since we have now added exhibits to this item, the next thing we want to do is cue the test taker that there are images to be viewed. So in this blank box just below the grayed out viewing screen, double-click to open it for typing. This is where you will add your case, if one is needed. You should always begin your case with Refer to the exhibit or Exhibits. Then add your case and click Save. A case should not include the question or stem you will be asking. Let me show you where that will go. Just under the case, you should see a gray box for the stem and response options. Double-click on that box, and you will then see a pop-up. The top box of that pop-up will be for the stem. Double-click on that box, enter the stem, and don't forget to end it with a question mark. Click Save. One click on the gray box below the stem will reveal a place for your first response option. Open that box and enter a response. Click the gray box 3 more times to provide the required 4 response options. Double-click on each box to open it, and enter a response option. Don't forget, you have to select a key. Do that by clicking on the radio button next to the correct response. Click Done. You will come back to the main screen. The stem will be partially displayed on the left side of the gray box, and the key will be displayed on the right side. If you've not selected a key, the word Select will be displayed here. Collapse all, and save your item. It is suggested that you preview a PACS item before you submit it. Preview is the best way to view the image, the case, the stem, and all the response options on one screen. You can play your CNAs from here as well. Click X to get out of preview. move down the screen to enter your references as required. Click Save. At this point, if you are happy with your item, you are free to submit it. The item status will change to pending, and it will be locked for further editing. You'll come back to the project page where you will see your item, the task that you wrote to, the date and time it was created, and you can check the item breakdown to see how many items have been written for the project thus far. This concludes Part 5, the final section of the Inteleos Item Writer Training webinar for cardiovascular imaging examinations. Thank you for taking the first step to becoming an item writer. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate your dedication to our organization and to those who take our examinations.